I was laying on my back. I could not tell you if I was awake or asleep as per usual, but I was in my bedroom setting, very present and very aware. I remember laying there and my body was vibrating, very much like it was when I was on that drug or when I'd had some of these intense dreams in the past. What I will tell you is the next few months were not quite the same because I had started to sleep less overall between the injury that I had had and the recovery I tried to go through, and that experience where I felt I went to a different place really messed me up. So, I mean, I would be staying up as long as I could, as exhausted as I could be, just to fall asleep without thinking about it. And there was one day where I had about 24 hours up consistently, and I was ready to call it quits, and my best friend gave me a call, and he's like, "Hey, man, I really need your help. I need you to drive down to Nashville with me. I've got to move my dad out of his house." And I'm like, "All right, I don't think I can do that, man. I haven't gotten any sleep. You know how I've been lately. This is really important to me. I don't think I'm up to it." Well, he kept calling me and stopping me from falling asleep. I'm like, "All right, man, fine, I'll go with you." I'm like, "Seriously, though, I don't think this is a good idea." He's like, "I'm sorry, man. I don't know what else to do." So we went. Not only had I been up for 24 hours or more at this point, I had to drive a total of 12 hours or 14 hours, somewhere between the two, depending on how long the trip took. He insisted that we had someone else come with us because he was going to go with his dad when we got there, and I would be driving back on my own. So we got down there, everything was fine. We started to make our way back, and the person he had come with us, I had known fairly well. Only downside is she couldn't drive. She didn't have a license. So she was really no help to me as far as like taking the load off of me. You know, she couldn't really assist me. She was just there to keep me company. Mm-hmm. And it was during this drive home that I had what doctors would call a panic attack. And I will tell you, it was the most intense sensation of me losing control of my body while being in my normal state. You know, this wasn't an effect I was feeling from a drug that I had taken. This wasn't from an injury that I had had. It was just in that moment, my heart rushed. I could feel the air being sucked out of my lungs, and it was terrifying. You know, I tried pulling over a couple of times to regain my composure. Nothing worked. Called my mom, called my girlfriend at the time and said, "Hey, something's not right. I'm not okay. I really, really, really think I'm dying," because that became the new norm for me, you know, based on my experiences. Yeah, I'm terrified. I'm not okay. Therefore, I'm probably going to die. And I even tried to have her drive a little bit, even though she didn't want to without her license. And it was so bad, it made things worse. I'm like, I have to take over. So I had to drive for another 6 hours. While experiencing this, it was not stopping. I didn't really know what to do. Somehow, amazingly, by the grace of God, I made it home, back to my girlfriend's, and I went running inside. She knew I was not all right. I crashed on the bed, and I cried until I fell asleep. While trying to fall asleep, you know, I told myself, I'll be fine. I'll wake up in the morning, and everything will be okay. Well, I woke up the next day, and I felt the exact same way. It was like the quote-unquote panic attack had not stopped. It was like it had continued on throughout my sleep and into the next day. And this was the case for months and probably even years to some extent. So I would try to do anything and everything I could to make this go away because it was so uncomfortable. I always felt it gripping at my throat. I felt as if I could not breathe completely. Truthfully, I felt like my body was not my own. I would pray to God and just ask for some type of escape from it. I could not understand why I was going through it. It just did not make sense to me. And ultimately, this led to the first of my many intense spiritual dreams that I had had. And this was the worst one I had experienced in my life. And I remember laying in bed with my girlfriend. We had recently moved into an apartment together. We had found out that we had a miscarriage and that the child was not going to make it. And it had hurt us pretty badly, so I'm dealing with the emotional stress of that and me not really feeling comfortable in my body or that I had any control over it whatsoever. I was trying anything and everything I could to make it stop, as I had mentioned to you, and truly I was just a train wreck, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And this one night when I was laying in bed, I was laying on my back. I could not tell you if I was awake or asleep as per usual, but I was in my bedroom setting, very present and very aware. I remember laying there and my body was vibrating very much like it was when I was on that drug or when I'd had some of these intense dreams in the past. And it started intensifying so much. I would say that it was more intense than when I had experienced the lacing of the drug that I had ingested. And again, this is me in my normal state. I hadn't taken anything that day. I hadn't drank. I hadn't smoked weed. And I'm like, oh, great, here we go again. Something's coming. Something's coming. And as I was laying there and this vibration's intensifying, I heard a voice in my ear. And it was a female's voice, but it was whispering. I couldn't hear what it was saying. And this is, scaring me as I'm hearing this. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And the voice starts intensifying and getting louder and louder. So she's no longer whispering and she's speaking a language I don't understand. I don't know what it is. And if I could best describe it, I would say it sounded like Aramaic, but again, that's just a loose description with the knowledge and information that I have. And in my mind, instantaneous, I'm like, this is something satanic. This is of the devil. I must have been a spirit of some kind, a demon of some kind. And I was terrified. I tried to break out of this dream and I realized I can't move. I can't move. I can't speak. I can't scream. I can't shake. And this voice keeps intensifying and the vibration keeps growing with it. And at this point, she's very loudly speaking in my one ear. And then in the other ear, whispering starts again. And this time it's a male voice speaking the same language. And it's also chanting over me, which at this moment I could tell that they were trying to do something to me. I wasn't just, it wasn't happenstance that I was hearing between this conversation of these two. They were there for me. And this man's voice, again, was speaking that same language. The volume is intensifying. And as he is speaking, the vibration is growing. I felt like there was an earthquake within me. And at this point, I felt a sensation at my crotch, almost as if a grabbing. Maybe not necessarily physically, but it gave me a sensation within my body as if I was being touched sexually. And it sent this rush throughout me, like they were trying to please me without my permission. I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it. I'm trying to escape. I'm trying to leave. I can do nothing. And then I felt a penetration. I'm trying to think of a good word to use here. From behind, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know if this is spiritual that I'm feeling or if it's physical. Can't really tell, but I'm afraid. And as that penetration feeling occurs, I'm slowly lifted out of my bed as it's doing this to me. And I saw myself leaving my body. I don't know if I could see my body directly down below, but I would tell you I was levitating in this moment. And it felt like I was leaving behind myself. And out of all the moments I had been laying afraid in bed at night, this was the worst one I had ever experienced because I was a victim of something I never asked for. I considered myself to be a devout Christian. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. And these two entities wanted me for some reason, and I wanted nothing to do with it. So I'm trying to shake. I'm trying to move. No luck. It was like I was a prisoner, and this was my sentence. I didn't understand why. But finally, at some point, I realized I need to cry out to Jesus. There's nothing else I can do. This is the only thing I can think of. I couldn't utter any words. I kept trying and trying and trying until eventually I said it. His name came either out of my lips as I was lying in bed or spiritually. I don't know which one it was. In the moment that I screamed Jesus, I slammed back down into my body, woke up, and I probably cried for an hour. And it was at that moment that I realized that I would never be safe in my bed again. And that was just one of the first few spiritual experiences that I had. But I would say that was the most intense of the many I've had.
Thank you so much for watching this clip. If you want to see the full interview, just click on the video on your screen right now or check the description below for the link. I'll see you there.